today on Unscripted, we have Girls Gotta Eat.
Hi guys.
We're the girls. This is exactly where you need to come for credible life advice. You ask the questions, and we're going to answer them.
I'm Rayna, this is Ashley, and together we have a comedy show about dating and relationships.
That's awesome.
Thank you, we're excited to be here.
That's so awesome. And I'm so grateful to the woman who came into my office and she was like, dude, you have to listen to this podcast.
Ooh, we're grateful.
We are too. You're kind of like, you know what, because I'm a little bit vulgar in my office. Or no, I wouldn't say vulgar, I'm just open and honest about stuff. I'm edgy. I love that. I'm edgy. And she said, like, no, like they get to do what you can't do in public. Because you guys are as good as any therapist I've ever heard. P.S.
My mom's a therapist. So
wait, who's the intuitive? Who's the intuitive mom?
My mom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, so you both have it. You both have it. You guys are awesome.
You know, we're very lucky
She's got
to
like
have
the
had
therapist mom. I got like the spiritual.
We've had really amazing guests on our show, and we take a lot from what they say. So like we're learning every day, like
from stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you do. The interview shows do that. I hope you guys learned something from me today.
We did.
We did.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in therapy? Do you need some? You probably need some therapy after being on my show.
Yeah, I've been in therapy 3 or 4 times.
Oh, like you went 3 or 4 times.
Short. My mom and I really. I said what I said.
How often you work out? 3 times a month, a week? I said what I said.
That was good. You make good progress.
She said, "Are you comfortable saying anything?" It's like the first words out of her mouth.
So let me ask you about that really quickly. Were you? I mean, is there a sense that you weren't comfortable about sharing certain things? Because did you have to make the decision like, okay, my mom's gonna hear this? Like I think on one of your first episodes, you're like, I'm just a little uncomfortable that like so and so might hear this. But
I mean, I knew I was like gonna share it all. I've always put my whole life on the internet. Like that's kind of why like I do stand up. My parents have come to my shows. Like I kind of knew. So I just wanted. I think it's hard to find some people like that. People have lives, they have jobs, they have families. Like Rayna, I can't even believe I found her because I was just like, she's.
Wait, were you already in comedy at that point? No, you were just
comedy. You know, get out of here.
But you do. I mean, you're very, very funny.
I know, but I was just laughing at my own jokes, like thinking maybe that my dad thought I was funny. And I was like, maybe other people will too. I don't know. But like, I don't know that like day one when she was like, do you want to do a relationship podcast, that we knew that it would be like as funny as it is. And Ashley made such a good decision when she was categorizing the show, because you can do society and culture, which is what what category are you under?
I think they put me under a bunch.
A bunch?
I think you can actually pick a bunch.
But you'll still be like, there's one primary.
Oh, okay. So I have no idea.
You're probably under society and culture. Ashley made the call to put us under comedy, and I think that like that has allowed us to do so many things.
Yes.
So we can have these super serious
I know, I'm
conversations
so
with doctors.
jealous.
But we can also have these like crazy off the rails conversations with like a comedian that is talking about like really disgusting, filthy things, and like our audience responds really well to both of them.
To both, right?
Yeah, it's a gift.
But I mean, I have to admit, like I was pretty confident that Rayna, like when she was like, oh yeah, of course, I'll talk about anything, whatever. And I was like, are you though? Like I was like, wait till we get in the studio.
When we like press record, she can be like,
right. But then she had went on a friend's podcast and she was talking about like all this dirty stuff, and her mom listened. So I was like, okay, cool, she's cool. But like it's not. Again, it's a luxury that we have by working for ourselves, by having cool families, and just by being kind of confident in our own selves. And I mean, that's just, it's those 3 all things together that not everyone
can. Well, it's like I was saying to my son, because I was really like battling this out with myself over the weekend, knowing you guys were coming on the show, and I was like, why can't I just say the things I really want to say? And I was like, and he's 13, he's about to be 14, and I pretty much let him listen to like just about everything at this point. Like he listens to tons of rap music and like all that kind of stuff.
You guys live in New York?
No, in New York and Connecticut.
Okay.
And so I was like, whatever. And so I was talking about Howard Stern. And I was like, Howard Stern's like the perfect crossover, right? Like he can somehow manage to do, he's done like really quote unquote, like what some people would consider vulgar shows.
Yeah. Totally.
For years. He still makes a ton of money doing it, and he's on like serious series now, right? And then he can also do America's Got Talent.
Right.
Which is like the most family-friendly TV ever.
Which is great. And he's my top, like when people ask what kind of career you want, like that's the career I want. I don't care about being on TV. I just want this like long-term sustainable career, and I think I love that we are able to like do these hilarious, off the rails, vulgar episodes, and then serious interview style.
Well,
like,
yeah, I think it's brilliant, and I think as labeling yourselves comedians, it's good because then you can actually go into the political realm as well if you ever need to, or do something that's like more mainstream, right? Because you're like labeled.
Where are they gonna go?
Because I would think people, I would have just assumed that you're a comedian. Also,
Thank you.
like that's what I would have assumed.
Again,
but you don't do that at all. Like you don't do stand up.
No, I'll tell you a funny story. The first time I ever went on a stage in my life, like I didn't even do talent shows as a kid.
Yeah.
The first time I ever walked on a stage, we sold out Caroline's in New York City for 325 people, and that is the first time I ever walked on a stage.
Oh,
like 3 weeks ago. Yeah. For the podcast.
But you've done the public events before that, right?
I can't stress this to you enough how unqualified I was to be on that stage. Like we got off.
Were you nervous?
I was oddly not. Okay, so the way that I deal with stress is very different than the way that Ashley deals with stress, which is why I think that we work really well together. I don't ever stress out about anything until the very second I have to deal with it. So like I'm about to walk on stage and I black out.
Yeah.
But like I don't know that people really. I think people have faith in me to do well on the show, but I think people are like, oh, she might kind of suck a lot. Like we got off stage and my agent looked at me. Our agent looked at me and was like, oh, we're gonna like sell some shows out, like,
and you're were you surprised how well she
Yeah,
did?
I mean, I just think I have so much faith in her, no matter what. But like, yeah, I was like blown away because she just had all these jokes, you know, like off the cuff. She had these like bits. She would just like, I was like, what is she doing? Is she better than me? Like, it was so crazy.
You
like,
started getting imposter syndrome.
right? But it's really, it was. I want to give you credit, so I don't want to say that it's shocking, but I don't know somebody that's never, literally, like, that's funny that you said that, you never even did talent shows. Like, I guess I've been getting on stages since I was in 5th grade. Like, I've always been on stage, and so, you know, I've been doing this for so long, and I've been doing comedy for 5 years, and she just killed it.
Don't bring it up. Don't bring it up.
I'll start crying. I saw it last night.
Listen, I rarely do anything that I'm not good at. So, I mean, I've gotten every job I've ever interviewed for.
Right. Like you're just that
I'm just
person.
good at everything.
Yeah.
We actually had this situation the other day where I was like, I'm so good at stuff. And Ashley's like, you should stop saying that because something really bad's gonna happen. So we landed in Nashville for our live show, and then I have to go from Nashville to DC, so I need my luggage.
Yeah.
We land in Nashville, my luggage does not come off the conveyor belt, and I'm like, shit,
Oh.
what do I do?
Do you have a show? You guys have a show then?
We show that night, and then I have a wedding I need to go to 2 days later. And so I'm like,
right.
and of course you
Because I
pack.
listened to 80 hours of the podcast. Yes,
Yeah.
I know this wedding. I haven't heard what happened in Nashville.
So I'm like, her bag doesn't come off. I'm like, see, it's happening. You were too cocky.
So I walk over
you
to the
tempted the universe.
I tempted fate. So I walk over to the Delta luggage area, and I walk in, and the woman looks at me and she goes, Rayna Greenberg? And I was like, how did you know that? And she was like, your luggage didn't get on your flight. It's going to be on the next flight. We're going to drop it off to you in 2 hours. And I was like, I'm even good at losing luggage. This is crazy.
And I'm like, and now she doesn't even have to carry her bag. They're just gonna like deliver it to the house.
See?
Like, lucky you.
I'm just joking, but I have a really good partner to like lean on, and so that helps me to be good.
It's just crazy that you guys just met. But it's funny, just to tie up the thing. So I said to my son, his name is Dusty, I was like, dude, like, why can't I do it? Like, why can't I just be out there? He's like, because nobody's turning to you. Like, you're not a comedian. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, Mom, you're not Amy Schumer. And I was like,
yeah, but you're you. You're
but
charming
maybe
and funny.
I could be like funny.
Yeah.
I know, maybe.
You want to come on our show and be funny? You want to do that?
See, I do feel more freedom on other people's shows.
Sure.
And especially when it's not being
Well,
filmed
what
for
holds you
Facebook.
back? Is it just your brand or the family?
Well,
I mean, you have
it's
3 children.
No.
You know, like it's a little different than.
You know what? I don't really. It's funny. Like I broke that seal a while ago about being like the mom. Like I'm kind of the mom in town where people are like, You know, here's the thing about that is that to be honest with
Like
you,
look at you in the town square. They're like,
because I got like divorced with 3 kids, like when my kids were like in diapers still, which like nobody does, right? And so they were already like, well,
Sounds
she
tough.
must have cheated on her husband. Like there wasn't anything like that,
Yeah.
right? And I kind of dress like a little differently. No offense to the moms out in like Connecticut, but I wear like leather coats and glasses when I go into school, and like I don't, you know, I'm a little bit edgier.
You don't show up in like athlete
And I'm
shirt.
divorced, you know,
Yeah.
so it's like that 2 things. And I don't know, like I sort of let that go a while ago. It's super awkward, I think, when you're first starting out and you live in a community like that, when you're starting to do more public things, because people are like, why is she posting so much on Instagram?
Yeah.
Behind your back or something, or like, what is this whole podcast thing about? And then you start becoming successful, and then people are like stopping in Starbucks, or you know, when you're getting a sandwich or in Stop and Shop, and you're like, oh my god, I heard your last episode, and you're like, great, you know, and like you feel good. You're actually doing like a public service to educate people about, you know, stuff that they need to be educated about. So right there, I would have sworn.
But that's really good advice for anybody who wants to start anything. It's like, you know, if people think something's stupid, okay, well, just try it. You know what? There's always that awkward. I think it's less so when you're younger. But as you get older, and like, so like I'll be sitting, my life's a little bit different, right? So I'll be sitting like tonight with you guys, but like tomorrow night I could be sitting with, and not to say that you don't have like fancy dinners with CEOs, but it's like all of a sudden I'm at like Fox News talking about, you know, white privilege. Right. And then like they like go look me up and there's a podcast on me talking about like the stuff I really want to talk about. Yeah. Which like I was just gonna make a dirty joke. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm constantly, and it sucks because I really believe in the freedom of expression, and I also believe that people can be dynamic, and we should teach people to be really dynamic, and that nobody should be put in a box. So just because you guys are funny and talk about sex and like blow, can I even say that on Facebook?
I have no idea.
You can say BJs.
BJs.
There you go.
Right in those Facebook. I know any charm you need for a BJ, right? The best.
You know what I mean? You can still be really taken seriously in other ways. When you come out on serious issues. Like, I believe that. You're highly intelligent, you're getting a ton of experience from doing this, and by the way, you're going to end up becoming relationship experts, because you're going to be fielding those questions, and you're going to hit a certain point and be like, we're kind of experts on like dating and relationships. You're still not her.
But to my point, it's
but
like
I do have a lower back tattoo.
Oh, you do? Same.
Just because, see, okay, because when I was getting the tattoos back in like the 90s, okay, no one had that lower back tattoo.
It was
situation. No one called it, what do they call it, tramp stamp?
Slutty?
Yeah.
Just call it slutty?
I didn't hear that till after I got divorced. I was like, wait,
do you really have one?
Yeah, it looks like a bullseye.
I
like how you wrote that to think about it for a second. Like, why would she shoot a bullseye on her back?
I was surprised she hadn't seen it yet.
I've seen it, right?
Yeah.
I have 7 tattoos. I'm all over. And I started, but I started at the height of the tramp stamp. So I was like, gotta get in.
Was that your first?
It was either belly button piercing or tramp stamp.
But how old are you? Can you guys say?
We never share age.
You never share age?
We're in our 30s.
We're in our 30s.
Okay.
I mean, it might be
30s are hot, by the way.
We get 31, 39, you'll never know.
40 was super hot. Like, I loved being 40. After 40, it's diminishing returns. I'm sorry, ladies. I'm not going to BS it.
We got a while to go.
You ever see that? What is it? It's, this guy is fielding this girl's like dating thing, and she's like, I want a guy that is like rich and successful to take care of me. And he's like, I'm a hedge fund manager. I'm gonna explain to you like why this isn't good. And he was like, I'm gonna keep getting richer, but I'm gonna take care of you. You're gonna get uglier, so you are a diminishing return. So this is a bad investment for me.
Oh,
you ever seen this before? I gotta find this for you after.
Beautiful. I was wondering if you guys have ever seen the Crazy Hot Matrix.
Yeah.
Somebody brought it up the other day, and I mentioned they were like, "What?" We were talking.
You guys
about
should do a show on the Crazy Hot Matrix.
Someone was talking about it, and
we said Crazy Hot Matrix.
They were explaining the concept, but without the term. We're like, the Crazy Hot Matrix. And we're like, what? We're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you didn't come up with this. I don't know, that guy's he's like, I think we messaged on, do you know that guy that did it? He's just like a teacher.
Yeah. Someone messaged him? I was wondering about him today.
He and I messaged somehow back in the day.
Think about you every day.
Anyway, yeah. But that was brilliant. It was so accurate.
You thought so. Do you guys ever get, so one of the things I love in terms of like, do you ever get pushback from feminists saying like anything?
We are very fortunate that I think, first of all, we get very little negative pushback from people. I think that that's attributed to the fact that like we're pretty open and honest about things, and we always say like, as long as you feel good about what you're doing, then keep doing it. And, like, we're not super judgmental about a lot of things.
No.
I mean, not publicly. And no, I mean not a ton.
Well, what do you? I mean, I'm pretty openly feminist. What do you mean? What would have pushback from feminists?
I don't know. Like I was like, I have no idea, but I would say like, I don't know, maybe more conservative people would have been like, no, or maybe they don't.
So pushback from conservatives.
Yeah.
Oh, not from feminists. Okay.
Or sometimes that can go hand in hand, right? Not every feminist is a
liberal.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't whatever. Everyone's going to be offended all the time. We'll get we got a few. we didn't bring it up. We talked about like Trump with a guest one time, and a few people got mad. We were like, okay. And then like, whatever. One
Because I
percent of our
actually-
reviews like have been negative, but like, I'm sorry. Like, I think it's very easy to find out what my political views are. Like, I'm very vocal. Like,
Yes.
if you look at any, we don't do it on Girls Gotta Eat.
Well,
but
because I actually think you're on the forefront of something, because I haven't heard a lot of, I mean, you could tell me, you guys know your, like, who else is out there doing relationship shows the way you are. I don't know them.
There's a few, and I think that like there's really good ones who've taken really good advice from people, and they've, we've had people come on our show that do that as well.
Yeah.
I think that if people are starting to get pissed off by the things that you're saying, like you're doing something right, you have a platform.
True.
If nobody ever got mad about anything you said, then like nobody gives a shit about what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. You're boring.
I mean, I think we political wise, I mean, I did a PSA a couple weeks ago about voting, and
Yes,
I think people just honestly, if you want to see how I feel, you can look right now. I'm pretty open, but we also there's plenty of political podcasts out there. Like that's not really what we're about, and so
and so the other thing is too is that I think you like totally demolish any sense of slut shaming.
Right.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Huge. Like that's where like wait, why did that make you laugh?
I just think that like we're very open about our lives, and so like
Yes.
I think if anybody like would come at me about some of my opinion, it's like what are you gonna say? I'm sharing my truth.
But see,
I'm open and honest about it.
well, and so this is where I think the magic happens, because as a psychotherapist on Fifth Avenue for over a decade, my sort of I treated very powerful men, which was interesting, and then my other sort of group of patients was women between the ages of 22 and 35 looking for love in New York. So I had these conversations in depth for years. You guys are saying exactly what got said in my office. Not saying that you have psychological problems or
No,
anything.
I do, for sure.
But you know what I mean? Like about love and relationships and dating in New York, in particular in New York, you guys are just like ripping off the veil and opening up the door and being like, oh, you guys can watch this go down.
Yeah.
Which is what I love. Like the minute I heard it, I was like, damn, thank you. Like, thank you for actually speaking the truth about what this is like for girls.
Yeah, and I think, I do, like, just to give credit, I think, like, guys we effed, the podcast, I can't say that ever. Their tagline was the anti-slut shaming podcast. So they were some of the forefront, and now I love what women are doing in this space, and I saw a podcast the other day, I'm not going to name names, but it's a Barstool podcast, and it's these two girls, and it's just like everything I'm against. It's just like these two girls that are, it's like I don't know, like cater to men, and like if someone's not doing this to if you're not doing this to your boyfriend, someone else will, and it's just like it made me cringe. I'm like, there's both messages out there, but again, there's something for everyone. I think that's a podcast that like they made with two really vulgar female hosts that's like designed for men,
right?
And I think men like our podcast, but it's like we created it for women, like we created it to be like empowering to women and informational for men, like I think that's kind of,
so that's like sort of the thing.
I mean, I guess we know that now. I think, but that was kind of the point. It's like informative across the board, but I think men are listening in this like information from the other side.
Like peeking in.
But the women are over here
getting
like
the
knowing
dirt
their worth.
on like what they're really thinking.
Yeah, and I can't tell you how many times a day we get emails that say like, you changed my life. You changed the way I looked at the situation, this breakup, or my current relationship, and you've allowed me to ask for things that I never would have been confident asking for, and I get like really choked up when I think about it.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to do that. I never like started this podcast. I don't know, I'm just talking about the shit. Sorry, I keep swearing. I'm talking about the stuff that I went through, and we got this email. It makes me choke up. It's fine. It makes me choke up. This girl said, we talk a lot about
funny,
sex.
it's real, yeah.
We got this email from this girl, and she said, I've always wanted to like spice up my sex life with my boyfriend. I never knew how to do it. You guys talk about dirty talk, and so I tried to do that with my boyfriend, and she said, I've been having the best orgasms of my life.
Wait, what? You didn't show me this email?
Are you serious?
I haven't seen this email.
I cried. This girl said, you changed my sex life, and
yes.
this is an email about dirty talk, and I'm sitting there crying.
No,
but
wait,
that is very, okay, this is the difference between me and Rayna. I'm sorry. That is the email that made her choke up. We got a similar one that was like, what you guys are doing is so important for women in the feminine, like the political, like what's going on around women is not. And she gave us this whole thing of like, you may not realize it, but you're doing this thing in this like landscape for women, and that made me like lose my mind.
Well,
And
she
Rayna's
can
over
say
here
that
like
the
improving
orgasms.
people's sex life.
I just
love
like that we gave anybody, one person on earth, the courage to walk over to her boyfriend and say, I
You're
want
right.
this.
Yes.
And I think that I get like choked up. It's funny that I get choked up about
Like if that's the only thing that your podcast ever does.
Yeah, if she
it did
walked-
a great service to this
Yeah,
person.
but I mean, we get
Which is not.
emails like that every day.
Yeah,
we're
of
just
course.
citing too, but like it's just so weird, like so flattered, and I hate to use the word humbled, but like we are by people being like, you saved my relationship,
Yeah,
or
because-
you
but
made
it's
me
also-
file for divorce.
But
You
it's
know,
also
like we
not
get stuff
boring,
like that.
right? Like if you get to, because like the interviews are great, but like sometimes you don't get a really interesting guest, or like they don't like woo, right?
Right,
And
you
you're
never
like,
know.
oh, you never know, you
Yeah.
never know. And so, and it sounds like a little too clinical, but you guys are able to distill the information, like make it super fun.
We try, and look, we've had guests on the show. There's something great about every one of our episodes.
Yeah.
We've had some people on the show where like maybe we thought they would be phenomenal, and like the chemistry just wasn't there. And conversely, people that we like, Ian Kerner when he came on the show was like, I'm not gonna be funny.
Yeah.
And
we were like, that's not why we asked you here.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
so like
who
it's hard to say like what makes that chemistry happen.
He actually
but
was funny.
He was amazing.
He was so
He
funny.
was. I thought he was like someone wrote this and they were like, he's just soothing. Like listening
He's
to
very-
his voice.
I know.
It's just like
I know.
that was
It's funny
it was
because
like
you know
a
we
life
share
changer.
patience actually, Ian and I.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
They like,
Yeah.
want a female to talk to about this
Oh
kind of
yeah.
stuff.
Well, and also he's sort of like the go-to person. It's fun. It's so funny because I never think of myself as like the go-to person, even though like people think that I am. And I've sent people to him to talk specifically about non-monogamy, like consensual non-monogamy and polyamory and.
I'm obsessed with it. And I'm obsessed with Esther Perel. Like it's like all I think about is Esther Perel. and all her
Well, how do
work.
you feel about this consensual non-monogamy?
So
Have you guys you haven't done a show on it yet, have you?
we're waiting for Esther Perel to come on the show.
Well, we
and do
also
this.
we're gonna get
Will
a.
she do it?
We
Will she
talked to
say
her
yes?
assistant. We
I know,
talked to her.
but she's hard to get.
Yeah, and that's how I found Ian was through her.
Yes.
By
But
Because her
we're gonna have a
assistant was
couple, I
like, we
think,
can't give
too.
you Esther, but like you should try Ian.
no, I googled her. And he came up.
He's like the second string.
I think the monogamy is so interesting. We're dying to do an episode about it. We just want somebody like more clinical to talk about it.
Well,
but yeah,
I think we're gonna have a couple on. We wouldn't have a couple in an open relationship.
Yes,
You found
I
something
know.
Yeah,
Because
I
those
found
are the
it.
really interesting ones when you get like,
I
actual guests.
think that monogamy is such like a silly concept that like one person should fulfill every single need that you have forever,
Mhm.
and that's such a ridiculous construct. It's so stupid. And, like people needed this 50 years ago because women didn't work, and so they needed the things that a man would provide, and men needed the things that a woman would provide. And I think now like we're so equal as a gender that like as genders that like we don't need this. But like personally, I would never be able to be in an open relationship.
Oh,
Couldn't do
so
it.
it's. I didn't think that's where you were going to go with that.
I know nobody does.
Wait, do you feel, because you guys are very, one of the things I was like, they're pretty principled. Like if that was happening with my man, I wouldn't like it if,
Yeah.
was it you who was starting to communicate with someone who ended up getting engaged?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and she was like, I wouldn't, on that episode, so let me just like fill people in, you were you guys didn't do anything necessarily inappropriate, you just were starting to communicate a little bit,
Right.
and then like all of a sudden you found out, you were like, hey, I don't think this is so right, like,
Yeah.
this isn't good for me, this is starting to feel a little bit awkward.
An ex-boyfriend
a
of
little
mine,
bit
just to
painful, and
clarify,
yeah. I'm having like some, like, we're gonna put the pause on this,
Yeah,
and then you
I'm
found
protecting
out
myself.
2 weeks later he was engaged,
Mhm.
which I have a theory on, by the way, clinical.
Okay.
And on that episode, you sounded very principled because you said, I wouldn't like it if I knew that was happening.
No, nobody would.
And
I was
which
like,
is why it
yeah.
sounds like you also backed away from it. You were like, you're in a relationship, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get too deep in this.
Right.
And I wanted to illustrate that she was not doing anything horrible because I didn't want people to listen to this and be like, okay, you're talking to some guy who's a girlfriend. That's not really what
But
it
that's
was.
my biggest fear, though, is what happened to that girl. Is my biggest fear is that like I'm with somebody and he's like still talking to his
He has
ex
a
and
double
still
life.
has feelings for his ex. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like it's
right.
like I can't even thought
I
of
think
it.
a lot of people do that last grasp before they
Yep.
do the big
That's what I
engagement.
said.
We hear about it all the time.
I do, and you know what? It's funny because I've actually
But
recommended.
it's also like, what would you have done if I was like, you know what? I think I would get back together. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, he probably. My theory on that is usually people see each other. If they
Right.
did see, because you didn't see him in
Mhm.
person, you see each other and you're like,
You
I
know or you
I
don't
can't
know?
say this on Facebook, but like, how often is it when you've like broken up with somebody and then you see them like 6 months or a year later and you're like, I can't believe I even ever slept with you.
oh, I know. Well,
Like,
No, that never. I would sleep with them again. That never happens to me. But I would date you.
But okay, but
I
you're
sleep
like,
with them first, but then I remember that I can't date them.
then you'd be like, okay, you're not like good for me.
he wouldn't have thought. He wouldn't have thought that though, because like I'm
'Cause
just
you're
keep
so
getting
hot.
better
Yeah.
in life.
And like you're slaying it, so he'd be like, "Oh my god!"
I might have
I'm
thought that
totally
just to
explode my
clarify.
life.
No, But
the consensual non-monogamy thing, okay? So this is really interesting that you feel that way. Do you think, let me just ask, do you think you could actually be in a relationship, sleep with somebody else, and not really feel like it was that big of a deal? You just wouldn't want him to be able to do that.
I do. And that's why I like struggle with this concept, is because personally, I know that I could. I know that I could be completely in love with somebody and just really mentally just need something else for myself and have it have nothing to do with my partner. That I just want to try something else. And if it happened to me though, I would hate it. I don't know if I could ever forgive it. I don't think I could ever. I get like choked up just thinking about that. But I know that that's like a weird double standard, that I know that I could do it
and be like, this is just like a one night thing, or like
That's
he's a
the
friend
problem.
and I don't want to be solely, I don't want to partner with him. I don't want him to make him a life partner, but this is just like a nice thing to do. And
I think in the moment I would probably feel like that, but I've never done this, but like hypothetically, I would probably also have a hard time letting my partner ever be nice to me again. If I wasn't gonna be honest about what had just happened, if I knew that I just had this like duplicitous situation on the side,
like they're saying, if you didn't create a safe space to say like, hey, this is gonna happen.
if I didn't tell the person and I just came home and they bought me flowers and slept next to me, I think I would just feel you'd feel eaten up.
Feel
terrible. So like I think that like maybe separately I could do it, but maybe as I'm thinking about like afterwards, I would feel like.
What happens though if it was an open conversation?
Well, then that's different. If I'm
Right,
not
like,
lying
I don't
to your
think
partner,
if- I don't think
That's
if
why
it was
it's
like a
called
liar.
consensual.
Right.
So that's the difference between cheating and consensual non-monogamy.
Yeah.
Sure. So I think what I'm describing is consensual monogamy. If my partner said, okay, do it, I could probably do it.
But could you allow him to do the same thing?
No, and I would never want to lie to somebody that I loved either. So if it was consensual, I don't think I would like it. If it was consensual on my end,
So you're saying you probably would have a hard time making. Okay, so here's how.
Yeah,
I
she's
feel
not.
on this.
You're not. We're not talking about cheating here. We're talking about just like if your partner's like, hey, you can go
have
sex with
hang out with
somebody else.
so and so,
Right.
and for the night, and like it's cool, and I'm gonna go hang out with so and so,
Right.
and like I'll see you tomorrow. We'll meet for coffee.
What
We'll talk
would you
about
do?
it.
I don't know.
And I love you, and like it's a really safe space, and I'm totally committed to you, and maybe we're even married, and it's no big deal.
I think if you're honest with your partner, then anything is allowed. You can go do anything if you're being honest. Your partner feels
You can
comfortable
be both
with it.
comfortable, yeah.
Yeah.
But do you think you could do it? It's hard
Personally,
to say.
no, but like I haven't met that person yet.
Or
so
you haven't been
maybe
married
I
for
could.
like 15, 20
Right,
years, and you're
yeah.
like,
Totally.
might be time.
That's the thing. I
Yeah.
can't speak on that long-term relationship.
Right.
I can't tell you how I would
How you feel
because I
until
can't
you're
even
in it.
imagine it.
Well,
but
that's
I
the
also
thing.
haven't
These
been
things.
in-
So this is how I always come down to these things. It's like in theory they're one thing, but in practice they're another.
Right, for sure.
Right. So when we talk about this with couples and they're like starting to explore these things, just the level of exploration, just the idea of having the conversation about this can be highly erotic for couples anyway.
Mhm.
Right. So it's great to like just start broaching it.
Yeah.
And talking about it a little bit. Personally, what's really interesting is that
Yeah. What's your take?
I just regretted when I said personally.
Well, I like your take, but also we've never been married. We've never been with somebody for 10, 15 years.
Well, for me,
So
it
who
comes
knows?
down to consensual non-monogamy. For me, is much more the way I teach it in my office too. It starts to get into much deeper conversations about sexuality and spirituality.
Okay.
Right, so it's about like working on the ego and like can you drop your ego and realize that like everybody has like, let's theoretically say one life to live here, and do you really want to hold back your partner from having certain experiences? And I think also this starts to bleed into conversations. This is not necessarily applying to my own life, but again in my clinical practice, it starts to bleed into conversations about people discovering parts of their sexuality later on in their life, what might turn them on, or they're in a long-term relationship and they're like, we kind of need to spice this up a little bit.
Mhm.
And so it starts to bleed again into conversations about if you just want to connect with another soul in that way, but you've really created a partnership with somebody else that you don't want to break, and generally a family as well.
Mm-hmm.
a whole community. I mean,
whole-
it reverberates throughout your whole family and your friends.
Yeah, and then again, it generally, when I've spoken to Ian about this, he definitely said like sometimes it's better. I don't want to paraphrase him, but from what I remember of the conversation, it was like we think that sometimes these things can work better in theory than they do in practice, because sometimes it depends how good your partner feels about themselves at the time. Well, you guys bring up one thing that was really, so a couple things I just want to like touch on before we like peace out. One is that I love the idea of people sliding into the DMs. I love this. I had like never heard the terminology, and P.S. it happens to me all the time. And I've actually
Like
gone
guys?
out with a couple guys who
Do
sent
it.
into my DMs, but I didn't know they were expecting dates. That's how dumb I am.
But what do they say to you?
I think we could like, I don't know, they're like really successful.
You thought they were there for like networking?
Yes.
Wait, it's very funny. We
totally
just talked to somebody that had the opposite situation where guys were sliding into her DMs and she thought they were dates, but they were just trying to network. You have like the opposite. You're like, you bring your your resume, and they're like,
they're
this
like,
is a date.
so like, do you want to meet for like dinner? And I'm like, I can meet you at the Ace Hotel for coffee at 2:00 because that's like where you'd hold a business meeting.
Right.
I'm even like thinking. And then like after it, like they'll like be like, so when can I take you out to dinner? And I'm like, wait, pause. Like, we're
That was
You're
her
like
date.
a hot doctor. Of course we want to date you.
I like totally was confused by that.
Don't
It
be
happened, like,
confused.
a few times, but I didn't know like. Look, I just got on Instagram a year ago because I'm old, so it wasn't like I knew that like people could like
Right.
slide into your DMs. I'm just excited when people DM me.
That's
Listen,
so
I'm
funny.
gonna, as an expert on Instagram, I'm gonna tell you, and men,
Yeah.
everybody that slides in your DMs wants to bang you. Okay, you're
That's
a hot
how it
doctor.
works?
That's just how it is. Okay, you're not like a mud duck.
The second thing.
My favorite term.
What? Is that like a Pittsburgh term? What is it?
Like I've never heard
It's
that
a
one.
southern
See, I have to start writing these things down.
I've heard her say that a few times.
I'm surprised you never questioned me on it. 'Cause it's
You
not
said it like
a
twice
common
and then just
term.
let it go. I'm like, I'm sure that means ugly person.
So,
I'm gonna just take a guess.
Yeah, that's what it means.
is that like a normal term? Like, do people say that all the time?
No, I heard it on a
Mud duck?
reality show once, like 3 years ago. I never heard it again. I just
Are you sure it means that?
Yeah, I'll use it in a sentence.
You appropriated it.
It's so great to meet you guys.
Yes,
This
thanks for
is really
having
fun.
us.
Thank you so
can't-
much.
I know. I wanted to like have like one show, like we talk about cheaters or like what to do when someone like ghosts you, but I just had too many questions to start with. You'll have to come back.
I know.
and we'll
Can
have
we,
to, like,
do we even say the name of our podcast? Do we
oh my
get some
God,
fun?
girls gotta
Well, we
eat.
just started talking.
I know.
Do you,
Yes.
you need to record an intro?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do. But
Before the we'll record an outro.
But see, I've sworn so much now. See, I start to swear, and then like it all devolves. When I first heard "Girls Gotta Eat," by the way, like the name of the podcast, I thought it was. Is it a pun, or am I like so
No,
ridiculous?
it's fun.
Yeah.
Right,
Or like
because
a
I just thought it was
saying.
like so funny because
Yeah.
then I figured out you're both like you're a food. You know, you have
Yeah.
a food Instagram.
Ashley can explain to you where the name came from. She came up with it.
Well, I just thought it was
I
like
thought
well,
we
if
were
you
going
have
to
go
talk
on
about
dates
food
anyway.
sometimes.
See, I just thought it was like, well, if you got to go out, like so many girls in my office were like, well, yeah, I went on a date with him because I needed dinner.
Yeah, girls gotta eat. I mean, that's
Girls gotta
really
eat.
that's the saying.
And I was
Oh,
like,
girls
that's
gotta
it.
eat.
No,
But
it's
then,
a sex reference. It's like,
But
yeah, like
it's a
I
sex reference?
slept with him. Like, girls gotta
but
eat.
not a lot of
Oh,
people.
see, I didn't
No,
go there.
that's what you think.
I
Like
didn't go
in
there.
especially in the South, that means you've got to go on a date to get your dinner.
Well, I grew
Like
up in the north.
Really.
I'm just saying, there's multiple interpretations.
Where did you grow up?
We're sluttier in the north. I grew up in Pittsburgh.
In Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I just think it runs the
I can
gamut. That's
tell
why
you.
it's like a perfect
Where did you
title.
grow up?
In Delaware.
Oh, in Delaware. I can tell you after being a psychotherapist and listening to people's sex stories for as long as I have, there are definitely geographic differences between it.
Yeah.
So the best is like, well, you're from
Pittsburgh's more the Midwest.
yeah, you're
and
Midwestern, so it's a little
5
bit
minutes
different.
from
Delaware,
I mean, I grew up
Mid
very
Atlantic
like.
states. It's like
yeah.
you're kind of like in between.
I'm just very like a northern personality. Like I feel like I'm more like my dad grew up in Connecticut, my mom grew up also in Pittsburgh, but just I grew up in very like liberal. Always came to New York City. My mom was like taking me
But
to shows.
my
and
like real New England girls, when they like the NASCAR girls, when they sleep with a guy and they have a one night stand, they come into my office the next day and they're generally like totally neurotic about it. Like they didn't sleep. They're like they wake up after it happens, or they don't even fall asleep, and they're like, oh my god, why did I do that? And they're like filled with all this guilt, and then they come into my office and like talk about it, and like I shouldn't have slept with him. And then the girls from LA are like, don't even lead with that. They're like, oh yeah, I went on that date with that guy. I'm like, how'd it
That's so
go?
funny.
And like a half hour in, they're like, oh yeah, so I like slept with him. And I'm like, you did like on a first date? Like how did it go? Like what did you think? Like was it good? Was it fun? They're like, it was fine. I like slept for 6 hours. I was like, so you can actually fall asleep after with a stranger? And they're like, yeah, it was great. Like why wouldn't I? Like totally
That's so
relaxed
funny. I
about
want to know
it.
about the girls
It
from the
depends
South.
on the age.
The girls
for
from
me.
the South won't tell you right away.
True.
They won't tell you.
Or never.
Or never.
Maybe I should be more demure.
And the girls from the Midwest will end up telling you. The girls from the Midwest are interesting because they're just the most loyal people you'll ever meet in your life.
Yeah.
Like there's something in the water.
Am I loyal?
They are super loyal. Like once they decide you're in their inner circle, they don't leave you.
Yeah.
Like they're like you're like one of my people.
I'm like that to a fault though. Like my mom's always said to me her whole life, like it's so easy for you to like stick up for yourself and like defend yourself, except for when you like really love somebody and you have like a real problem with it. And I do, because like
setting boundaries with somebody else.
Like once I decide that you are my friend and like you're my people, then like
your heart is just so open.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of a Midwestern thing. Mm-hmm. I do. After doing this, I feel like I can say that. I can say I like have that qualitative data.
Yeah, I can see. I definitely can see all that. I don't know where I fall. Not the neurotic. That's crazy. Like I know what you mean. Like I hear these girls sometimes in the gym, and like it's a little younger, but like a 20-something New York girl, like they're just like crazy, and I'm just like, oh my god.
I do say to people, I don't think you should sleep with anybody if you like them for 6 days. And it's interesting because it didn't get brought up on your podcast why, the clinical reason, although I thought like the show was really great and you guys brought in some knowledge about like the male brain and the female brain. Mm-hmm. The reason why is because, well, I've been doing this for so long that I've like watched it all go down.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And then like the fly on the wall, and it's like so juicy, right? Because you're like, they come in the next week and you're like, what happened? Like, you know, it's like as the world turns. But it's because the male brain needs to chase somebody.
Oh yeah.
Really?
For sure.
Yeah. So 6 dates, if you like him, is usually like he's in.
We just talked to someone that said 12.
12 to me is egregious.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not.
But she also was doing the math. She was like, well, sometimes
12 to me seems like a lot because then you don't even like really know what the goods are. Like, how much more do you want to get invested before you're like, is this going to be really hot?
But she said sometimes you can have 2 dates in one day. She was saying like 3 hours per date. What is that?
As a female, I don't want to be on 12 dates with somebody. I'm not even just like a man hunter-gathering. As a female, I'm not going on 12
dates. We better be like engaged.
Right.
6
dates, I think, is even a lot for me, but it's a good amount of time.
6 dates. That's what I usually say. If you like him, you know. Then 6 days.
Well, I think men have to realize that you're like a person. You are not just like this like transient, I can replace her with somebody else, you know, she's just like a pretty girl with a good job, whatever. Like they have to like remember that you're actually a person, get to know you, that you're, I don't know, you're like a valuable person to them, and it takes them a few dates sometimes.
Yeah, and well, like to get like the blinders off of like, this is like, she's hot, this is what I want.
like, are you getting what you want? Like that's the thing. Like you hold on to that as long as you can, because you're waiting. Rayna and I just didn't talk about that because we just don't want to give like rules for stuff like that. But I think that's the best I've heard. Obviously, you're a professional. Yeah, I do think that. I'm thinking of like going through some past relationships. Well, and I can also say that I've had patients come back to me after like they said the advice I wish I had taken earlier from you after they find a partner and they like come back was don't sleep with them for 6 dates. Mm-hmm. Like I wish I had done that more. Yeah. And not because I think they have any shame about how many men they've slept with. They were just like, it was just like a... The other thing too is I have to say is that it just can create a level of chaos in your life. Like not a shame hangover, but just like a level of a hangover. Right? Yeah, more anxiety.
More anxiety. Is he going to call? Like, should I text him? And like, I don't really know him that well. Maybe a condom was used. Maybe it wasn't used. And like, I always say condom. Like, come on. Nobody uses condoms. Like, I've not heard anybody use a condom in so long.
I mean, I make jokes about condoms, but at the same time, I'm like terrified of herpes, you know? So it's like, you definitely should use condoms on a one-night stand. Or the first time you sleep with somebody.
I think my view on when to sleep with somebody has changed as I've gotten older, because the things that I want have changed as I've gotten older. So when I was younger, I'll sleep with somebody on a first date because like I'm not trying to marry you, I'm just trying to have fun. As I've gotten older, I'm like, I've had plenty of sex.
Like I don't need to like, with, like I don't need like your stuff in my face. Like
I don't know what that
comes with or where it's been.
I feel like you it's the secret.
What, 6 days?
6 days?
But here's the deal. Maybe there can be a default if you have a really long marathon date for date number 5. You know what I mean? Like maybe there's 2 in one day.
Like usually, like, because around 6 dates, they usually, if they're older and they're like really want to impress you, around 6 dates, they're like, do you want to go upstate for the weekend?
A trip? You have to sleep with somebody for a trip? I'm sorry. You are
this pressure.
You're a bitch if you go on a trip with somebody and don't sleep with them. I'm sorry.
It's that's super weird.
It's weird.
But also, P.S. girls don't realize this because they don't take enough time to like date without sleeping with somebody. But I can also say that like guys generally come back in my office and say it was super hot, that she was like, no, like we can do other things, but we're not.
And here's the deal.
And they're like, what? This is like amazing. And then they like really start to explore, and it gets really erotic, and they like it. Yeah. Like they generally like, but I think women, you're like, I think
that
women.
anticipation makes me crazy.
but that's what drives it up.
No,
And
it's amazing.
Want
Yeah.
that. Because guess what? You're never going to get that back again. That courting phase is the one phase, it's gone.
And you have
Once
forever to
pull
have
it
sex,
off,
you know?
Forever.
You have
And like
forever.
that old-fashioned courting where you're like, it feels like you're on, I mean, I've never been on heroin, but they've done studies on the brain where it says it's like your brain is literally lit up like you're on heroin or cocaine when you first meet somebody.
Oh yeah,
That's what
it's
a
the
mess
best drug in the
you are.
world.
Love, like Mox.
Mox,
effects of
well,
cocaine.
yeah, but at that point it's not even really
And, like,
love.
the
It's like just like
endorphins and-
totally lust, right? Like you're texting each other like 24/7. You're like talking all the time. You're like, oh my god, when am I gonna see you? And the reality is that like you want to like really enjoy that sweet spot, for lack of a better word, because once you sleep with each other, it doesn't mean it doesn't morph into other things, but that anticipation is gone. So
I like that.
I like it. I mean, maybe I'm like 4 to 6. But I really do. It makes so much sense, and like I don't know, maybe we need to like have you on at some point. Like we've had Ian, so we need to take like, you know, we'll wait a little bit. And then we could do a whole episode like just on this because I think it's a huge question that girls have, and I think where I get tripped up as
also, I think they don't have a language. Like we haven't taught women really good self-defense skills. Verbal self-defense.
And what to do.
Verbal
Because like
self-defense.
we're not
we
gonna
don't teach them like they come into my office, they're like my boss just like totally hit on me at that party and I didn't know what to say. Like we need to give women the
I think
exact language they should use.
what to
because
say,
in
and
that
then
moment
also
you freeze.
what
So
to
it's
do.
like, a guy's like trying to have sex with you on a date and you don't want to, but you really like him and you don't want to feel like a prude. Like, what do I say in that moment?
I like
And maybe
this.
you're
We
like
should do
2 or
more
3
of this.
cocktails
Great.
in and you don't know what you're supposed to say.
And a lot of times I'll do a thing because saying no is somehow more uncomfortable than that. And like you're done with the situation, whatever it is, and you're like, but now I feel terrible. And like saying no, the outcome would not have been that you feel terrible. Maybe you're a little embarrassed.
Oh, you mean you don't say no because you think that you're gonna get rejected, so you do it, and then
Or
you
no,
feel
it's just
terrible.
uncomfortable. Like you're mid hookup, it's like what she's just reiterating what you're saying. Like you
Yeah.
don't know what to say, it feels uncomfortable. We haven't you don't know what to do. So you just do the thing.
You do the thing.
Yeah,
But
but
the
all of a
last
sudden
thing,
you're like giving a BJ, and you're like, this isn't really where I want to
right.
be.
The lasting in my mind, I'm like, oh god, it's gonna be so uncomfortable to say no. But the lasting effect of what you do instead of saying no.
It's a hangover.
Yeah,
It's right. It's what I tell my patients is like they're emotionally hungover, and generally women come in after doing something they didn't really want to do physically, and they feel shaky. Like you're like texting your best friend by like 6 in the morning. You're like, I can't believe what I did last night, and like, can you answer the phone? And I need to talk about it. And they're like, they just feel like, you know what? A lot of times they describe it as, or we've come up with this idea in my office, which is, I feel like somebody went through my purse. Like I kind of left my purse in the room, and like I came back and they went through it. Even if you like left it open and told them they could kind of go through it, you just feel in a sense like, I don't want to say violated is the right word, but. And generally, you even feel worse than that because you said it was okay. Like you gave consent.
Yeah,
right?
we're talking consensual.
We're talking
for
consensual,
sure.
but it still feels like really icky and like something was stolen. And again, that gets into like the whole other conversation about like pheromones and hormones and like how men view sex and what happens to women during sex is totally different.
Right.
But I think giving women the language. The other thing I tell women is make a contract before you go
with yourself.
with them.
Okay.
Be like, dude, like for example, like I'll get personal here. I never kiss on the first date. No
Okay.
way. No, I don't need your tongue in my mouth.
And I think a lot of women are like, what does it mean if he doesn't kiss me on a first date?
Yeah, no,
like,
I
that's
set
what
it up.
feel.
And you know what? Guys think, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. Guys think it's hot that you don't kiss on the first date. Because they're like, what do you mean I'm not even gonna get the first kiss? And you're
The
like, I'm telling you up front, there will be no kissing.
Yeah.
Like, no. Like, you want to kiss, and like, I decide
And
you're worthy of
we
kissing me, like, we'll do it on the second date.
And also, we just
like,
talked to this matchmaker, and she is very adamant.
matchmakers are good about this.
She's
too.
very
They have
adamant
good
about the
ideas.
first date being short. Like, I'm not kissing somebody after 2 hours anyway.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
like, so I've kissed on the first
Yeah.
date, and I'm not
Like, I
kissing
don't
the
know
first
where
date,
your mouth
but
has been.
like,
But also 2 hours in, you're 2.5 drinks in. Once I hit the end of that third drink, it's like, I'm not me anymore anyways. I don't want to do things when I'm
Right.
not me.
Yeah, well,
You know?
you're older now, so you want that like sober feeling of like what that feels like. I think too.
Yeah, well also you're just misconstruing chemistry for you being drunk.
right.
Like you're not
You're-
super into this person, you're
yeah.
just messed up, you
Yeah.
know?
Right, but that's why I think it's so good because especially if you know that there's going to be alcohol involved, you just like have a contract with them. Like you send them like literally an email before you go on the date. I know this sounds ridiculous, but it works and women love it. You send an email and you're just like, dude, like just FYI, like especially if it's like 3 or 4 dates in or text. I've had women do this and they're like,
wait, can we elaborate?
yeah, they're like, let's set up a little contract, like just to let you know I'm not going to sleep with you tonight. Like I want to like set expectations.
Oh yeah, I've said that. I just haven't emailed it
Like,
over.
we can-
email.
I can't share docs together.
No, I swear.
No, I'm not making fun. I've said it. It's just I appreciate the concept. I'm sorry.
No. Don't be. But I have had, right? Like you could say it, you could text it, but I've had women like really uncomfortable. They don't know how to say it. I'm like, just email the dude and be like, dude, listen, I know we're seeing each other tonight, but like this is like what I'm sort of expecting or what I'm not expecting, and I'm not gonna be able to say this to you like 3 or 4 drinks in.
Okay.
Right.
I like this, and I want to have it.
language.
We want to do this again. We can continue
we're
on the
gonna
podcast, but I like the helping girls realize the language in the moment or before the contract and the email,
They're dying
or
for that.
B, what to do. And we touched on this a little because I think girls get in this place of like, we did talk about this in depth in our thing, but I want to hear what you say maybe at a later time. But like, I think girls get tripped up in what to do physically because they, not the first day, but they want to make out, they want to rub up against each other, they want to get a sense for the chemistry there, but they don't want to blow the guy.
Yeah.
We both don't do that before sex.
Right.
And so our hand job's out of style. So we've always had this conversation where I think sometimes women even have sex too early because they don't know what else to do physically.
And personally for me, it's like I don't want to go back to an apartment. So like, and that's not for everybody. That's just a personal thing. Like I know once I've had a few drinks, I'm feeling good. We're making out. There's a bed nearby. Like things are just feeling good. Like you just start like dry humping a little bit, and then you're like, what's the difference?
Right.
And personally, for me, like that's where I have to draw the line.
Did she say dry humping? Is that what she just said?
Yeah. I love a good dry hump.
I didn't know if I heard dry humping or panty drop.
No, but my panties drop after the dry humping.
Yeah. First comes dry humping, second comes panty drop.
They'll just talk.
You know what? I have a suggestion for this, but I don't even know if we can talk about this on Facebook Watch.
Oh yeah, are we still on Facebook?
No.
We're not live on Facebook.
No, God, no.
Right,
no.
okay.
We gotta go. I have to go. You have to go.
Okay.
Wait, all right.
We forgot this is gonna be like an
We need a
episode.
drink.
I know.
Yeah.
No, oh my God. All right, so I'm holding this up because
Oh
Oh,
my
we
God.
have great merch.
I know you have great merch. Oh my gosh.
It's
Can
so
I get
cute.
some merch?
Yeah.
I need to go to the Chicago show and I need to get my merch.
Okay.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of Unscripted with Nell Daly. If you could right now, we need you to head on over and review us on iTunes. As always, we will personally reach out and thank each and every one of you who do so, but we'd love your reviews, so tell us what you think. And you can always send us emails with either guests you want on the show or comments or questions. We're happy to get those, and you can find those on the website. Our contact information at nelldaly.com. To see all of my comings and goings, get updates on who our next guests are going to be, and if you just need a little bit of extra life advice or inspiration, come join me over on Instagram at Nell Daly. I use Instagram every single day. Or like us over on Facebook, and you'll automatically be following us, and that's at Nell Given Daily. That's also where you can watch us live. Before I end, I want to thank our audio editor, Walter Eggers, our video editor and co-producer, Paige McGovern, and our video production manager, Rick Endiver, co-producer, Corey Pakowski, and the rest of the Point Zero Media team. I couldn't do any of this without you. I couldn't. Of course, Teachable HQ, you guys rock. They're an amazing educational technology company. Check them out. I use them. Everybody big in the business uses them. They're just awesome. And a huge shout out of gratitude. Huge, the biggest, to all the fans who are following the show. Just like I said last week, I am so humbled by how this is all going. Thank you. Until Monday, everybody, peace out. Have a fun and safe weekend. I love you guys already.